Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. We'll be taking, inshallah, the rulings of fasting. What is fasting? What is the ruling of fasting? What's the proof of the ruling of fasting? And so forth, inshallah. Awalan, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for granting us the health and the iman to witness this month. Allahumma lakal hamd. We have to give gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, show gratitude to Allah that we are thankful for reaching Ramadan. How many people we know from last year who are not here with us this year? So this is a virtue that we have to give any thanks to Allah for. So to get to the point, inshallah, so that we have a very short time, what is fasting? What is the definition of fasting? تعريف الصيام لغة وشرعا. What is it? What does it mean to fast? So الصيام لغة يعني هو الإمساك عن الشيء. It's for a person to abstain from something, to withhold from something. For a person to fast from something. It could be anything. It could be anything. Such as Maryam alayha salam, when she was pregnant with Isa alayhi salam, what happened? She gave birth to him and then she came to her people. She came to her people. She said, Inni nadartu lirrahmani sawman falan ukallima al-yawma insiya. I have sworn, or taken an oath to the most merciful that she fasted from talking to the people. I have vowed to the most merciful a fasting. فَلَنْ أُكَلِّمَ الْيَوْمَ إِنسِيًّا. I will not speak to anyone today. I will not speak to any human today. What does that mean? She fasted from talking. Did she fast from eating food and drinking? La. So therefore she fasted from talking to these people. If she were to explain, an angel came to me and did this, khalas, and then I became pregnant, and then they're not going to believe. They're not going to believe them. So she said she fasted from talking to them. So when they asked her, what is this? She just pointed at who? The young child, Isa alayhi salam. As in the cradle, that she just pointed at him. And they said, كيف نكلم من كان في المهد صبيا? How are we going to talk to someone that is in the cradle, a child in the cradle? How? These are people using the intellect, saying, how are we going to talk to this? So Allah allowed a miracle to happen. A miracle that even makes it easier for them to digest the fact that he has no father. What miracle is that? He spoke. قال إني عبد الله آتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا وجعلني مباركا أينما كنت وأوصاني بالصلاة والزكاة ما دمت حيا. He spoke in the cradle of Isa alayhi salam, and this is easier now. Now they're talking to a child, an event, something they thought is not possible. How? كيف نكلم من كان في المهد صبيا? How are we going to talk to someone who's in the cradle, a child? They didn't believe this. They didn't believe a child is able to speak. So Allah allowed him to speak while he's young, a baby. An impossible event, but Allah made it possible. So when Allah made this possible, what else is possible? It's easier to digest and understand that he has no father. There is a word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he cast at Maryam and she gave birth to him. It's easier this way. So fasting, as-siyam, is al-imsak an shay, to stay away from something, to refrain from something. So she refrained from talking to the people. إني نذرت للرحمن صوما فلن أكلم اليوم إنسيا. This is what it means according to the linguistic. That is to abstain, to refrain from something. وشرعا, according to the Sharia, what is fasting? هو الإمساك عن الطعام والشراب وسائر المفطرات من طلوع الشمس إلى غروب الشمس مع النية. Is for a person to abstain or to refrain and stay away from eating and drinking and all the other things that break a person's fasting from the sunrise to sunset. From the sunrise to sunset. From Fajr till the sunset, a person has to stay away from eating and drinking and the things that break a person's fasting. With what? With intention. He has to come with the intention. Why? A person can come and fast to be healthy, such as to lose weight, or such as for a person to be healthy in their body, or for just any other reasons. But if they don't have the intention of worship, it would not be counting in that aspect. But rather, if the person comes with that intention, this is a worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then وَلِلَّهِ الْحَمْدِ, he come with iman and seeking the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the one that's fasting. From sunrise to sunset, he's staying away from all these other things that are permissible for the person. Are we clear? So what is the wisdom behind fasting then? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He explained to us in the Quran, and He said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. O you who believe, we have obligated upon you fasting. Kutiba alaykum as-siyam, ay farda alaykum as-siyam. Siyam is an obligation upon you. It's been prescribed for you, obligated upon you. كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. The same way was obligated to those before you. For what reason? What's the wisdom behind it? لعلكم تتقون. So that you attain taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Taqwa of Allah meaning doing what Allah told you. امتثال أوامر الله عز وجل واجتناب النواهي. Taqwa is for you to do what Allah told you to do and to stay away from what Allah told you to stay away from. It's easier for you to attain taqwa of Allah in the month of Ramadan. The whole day, what are you staying away from? What Allah told you to stay away from. What are you doing? You're fasting, what Allah told you to do. So, walillah alhamd, this is easier for the person to attain taqwa of Allah. This is the wisdom behind it, is for you to attain taqwa of Allah, to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to purify your nafs, your soul. To purify your soul. So here comes the next question. What is the ruling of it? صيام رمضان فرض وركن من أركان الإسلام وقد ثبت هذا يعني في الكتاب والسنة والإجماع. And this fast in the month of Ramadan is an obligation, and it's a pillar from the pillars of Islam. And this has come in the Quran, in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and in the consensus of all the madahib and the scholars, what they agreed upon. From the kitab we have the narration or the verse where Allah said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam, showing that it's an obligation upon us. O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed for you. And then Allah said, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ, whoever amongst you witnesses the month, meaning the month of Ramadan, فَلْيَصُمْ, then let him fast. Let him fast. It's a command. And the command is bringing an obligation. So therefore he was told, فَلْيَصُمْ, let him fast. Allah said, شَهْرُ رَمَضَانَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنِ هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. The month of Ramadan is the month the Quran was revealed as a guidance to mankind and a clarification of the guidance and the criterion, that which clarifies the haqq and the batil. فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ أي شهر رمضان, whoever amongst you witnesses the month of Ramadan, فَلْيَصُمْهُ, then a person, he has to fast this month. He has to fast this month. And it's a rukn from the pillars of Islam, because the Prophet ﷺ, hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar, the Prophet ﷺ said, بُنِيَ الْإِسْلَامُ عَلَى خَمْسٍ, Islam is built upon 5. And amongst these 5 was fasting. Fasting the month of Ramadan. Fasting the month of Ramadan. And according to the ijma', أجمعت الأمة على أن الصيام رمضان فرض وأنه أحد أركان الإسلام وأن منكره كافر مرتد عن الإسلام. Here the Shaykh, he said, and it is in the consensus, whereas all the nation have agreed upon. The nation, they have agreed upon that fast in the month of Ramadan is an obligation. and it is from the pillars of Islam. And the one who denies it and rejects it, and he says it is not from the pillars of Islam, or he says, I refuse to fast the month of Ramadan, I don't even believe it's an obligation, this person is a kafir. You don't believe in a pillar from the pillars of Islam. He says it's now wajib. You're denying a verse from the Quran. This is kufr. This is kufr. The Muslim person, he has to fast. If a person, he knows it's an obligation upon you to fast, but he doesn't fast out of laziness. Maybe this person, he's falling to sins and shaitan has fooled him, and this person, he's continuously addicted to his sins and he doesn't want to fast. He's too lazy, or he wants to smoke throughout the day and drink and do this. It's a fasiq. But we don't say this person's a kafir. Although he's a believer. He knows fasting is an obligation upon him, but out of laziness. And this, he doesn't fast it. We're not saying that one's going to be a kafir. We say that one's a fasiq. But the one who's a kafir, the murtad here, is the one who denies and refuses and rejects it. This is the problem. Now, and the next point is Fadl Shahr Ramadan, the virtues of the month of Ramadan. It has tremendous virtues. Number one, Shahru Nuzul al-Quran. هو شهر نزول القرآن الكريم. It is the month where the Quran was revealed. The Quran was revealed. Allah, He said, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. It is the month where the Quran has been revealed as a guidance to mankind and a clarification of the guidance. That's number one. The first virtue is that وَلِلَّهِ الْحَمْدُ, the Quran was revealed in this month. It's the month of the Quran. So therefore, Allah, He said, in the month of Ramadan, the Quran was revealed. That's one. But we know the Quran was also revealed outside of Ramadan. It was being revealed for 23 years, the duration, right? But Allah also said, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ. We revealed it in the night of Laylatul Qadr. So is this the whole Quran? Is it parts of the Quran? What is the interpretation of this? It says it was revealed in the month of Ramadan, and especially on the night of Laylatul Qadr. But we know the Quran was revealed outside of Ramadan also. The clarification in this is that the Quran was revealed 2 times. The first time that it came to Baytul Izzah, in the sky, in the heavens, it was revealed 1 time. And this is when it was revealed in the month of Ramadan and in the Laylatul Qadr. All of it was sent down 1 time. And from there, and it came down from Lawh al-Mahfuz 1 time. وَلِلَّهِ الْحَمْدُ. The decree, all of this. Allah Azza, He revealed it 1 time. What happened? Jibreel alayhi salam would have to go and grab it for the duration of 23 years, back and forth from there. This is the way these 2 verses and all these events has been combined without contradiction. There's no contradiction in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It says the Quran was revealed in the month of Ramadan, especially Laylatul Qadr. But the Quran was also revealed in the duration of 23 years. So it was revealed in Baytul Izzah, and then from there on Jibreel alayhi salam was delivering it to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Command from Allah Azza wa Jal. The next virtue, فيه ليلة القدر التي هي خير من ألف شهر. In it is the night of decree, Laylatul Qadr, which is better than 1,000 months. Let's not make the mistake and say it is 1,000 months. It's like as though the person fasted 1,000 months. لا, it is better than خير من ألف شهر. Laylatul Qadr خير من ألف شهر. That night is better than 1,000 months. بمعنى is even more than that. Number 3, second virtue, صيامه أحد أركان الإسلام, which we just covered. Fasting the month of Ramadan is from one of the pillars of the religion of Islam. Are we clear? Another virtue is that the person who fasts the month of Ramadan, his sins are forgiven. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that من صام رمضان إيمانا واحتسابا غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه. whoever fasts the month of Ramadan, having faith, seeking the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only, then this person, غُفِرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِهِ, whatever has been passed from his sins become forgiven. And the next narration, whoever stands, مَنْ قَامَ رَمَضَانَ إِيمَانًا وَاحْتِسَابًا غُفِرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِهِ. Whoever stands, standing here meaning what? Qiyamul Layl. He prays the Taraweeh. The one who stands up and he prays at night in the month of Ramadan, believing, having coming with Iman, being sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeking the reward from Allah Azza wa Jal, then this one, his sins, his previous sins are forgiven. His previous sins are forgiven. Now, the next narration, the next virtue is whoever stands up Laylatul Qadr. من قام ليلة القدر إيمانا واحتسابا غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه. Whoever stands in the night of Laylatul Qadr, he made sure this person, he stood up the whole nights of Ramadan. He attained Laylatul Qadr. If you are this type of person and you attained it, whatever sins have been there before, Allah, He forgives them for it. He forgives them for it. This is the one who stands up with Iman and seeking the reward from Allah. وَاحْتِسَابًا, seeking the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then this person is the one whom his sins are also forgiven. Another virtue of the month of Ramadan is that it is an expiation for the person's sins. Prophet ﷺ says, Salawatul Khams, the 5 daily prayers. وَالْجُمْعَةِ إِلَى الْجُمْعَةِ, Friday to Friday. وَرَمَضَانِ إِلَى رَمَضَانِ, from Ramadan to Ramadan. مُكَفِّرَاتٌ لِمَا بَيْنَهُنَّ إِذَا اجْتُنِبَتِ الْكَبَائِرِ. It is an expiation for what's in between them, so long as you stay away from the major sins. Are we clear? As long as you stay away from the major sins, between the 5 daily prayers, Salawatul Khams, between Fajr to Dhuhr, Dhuhr to Asr, Asr to Maghrib, Maghrib to Isha. Here, between the 5 daily prayers, if you stay away from the major sins, all the other minor sins, Allah has forgiven you for it. Because you prayed these 2 prayers, between them Allah forgives you for whatever has happened from the minor sins. وَالْجُمْعَةِ إِلَى الْجُمْعَةِ, from Friday to Friday. You prayed last Jum'ah, you prayed it. Until next Jum'ah is a whole week. Whatever mistakes that happen in the middle, Allah, He forgives you for it. وَرَمَضَانِ إِلَى Ramadan, from the month of Ramadan to another next month of Ramadan, whatever has happened in between of minor sins. Mashayikh, how many times we commit sins and we fall into shortcomings? How many times we think we're doing khair, but we're actually committing a sin we don't even know? It is an expiation for you from Ramadan to Ramadan. How merciful is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Subhanallah. That the person, even you doing what you were told to do by itself, obligations, 5 daily prayers, Jum'ah to Jum'ah obligation, Ramadan is an obligation. All of these in between, whatever happened in between, Allah forgives you for it. Allah forgives you for it. He said, مُكَفِّرَاتٌ لِمَا بَيْنَهُنَّ إِذَا اجْتُنِبَتِ الْكَبَائِرِ. It is an expiation for what's in between them, so long as you stay away from the major sins. So you stay away from the major sins. And then Ramadan has another virtue. Prophet ﷺ said, عُمْرَةٌ فِي رَمَضَانِ تَعْدِلُ حَجَّةً وَفِي رِوَايَةٍ حَجَّةً مَعِي. If a person does Umrah in Ramadan, it's equal to Hajj. It's equal to Hajj, the reward of the Hajj. It does not mean it uplifts the ruling of Hajj from the person. La. Rather, Hajj is an obligation if the person is capable of it. لَمَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. If the person has the ways, means to go do Hajj, it's an obligation for them. But doing Umrah in the month of Ramadan, then yes, this is a virtue. And another riwayah, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, is equal to Hajj with me. Is equal to Hajj with the Prophet ﷺ. So let's make sure that we save up, inshallah, and try to go to Umrah in Ramadan. Now, and what are some of the wisdoms Shaykh he put in questions and bullet points? He said, Al-hikmatu min siyami Ramadan. What are the wisdom behind fasting the month of Ramadan? Number 1, tahsil taqwa, which we just mentioned. For the person to attain taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the person to attain taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah said, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So that you have taqwa of Allah. This is the reason it was ordained or obligated upon you. Number 2, تَزْكِيَةُ النَّفْسِ وَتَطْهِيرُهَا مِنَ الشَّهَوَاتِ وَالْآفَاتِ. For the person to clean their soul. To clean their soul. To purify your nafs, your soul, from the desires and all types of ailments and sicknesses. It has 2 benefits. It has benefit in the dunya and in the akhirah. When your body fasts, your organs, they take rest, and alhamdulillah, your body is cleaning itself. And also you get the reward of the hereafter. Walillahi alhamd. You get ajr, you feel an obligation. All the actions of the son of Adam are for him. Illa, siyam or sawm. Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, فَإِنَّهُ لِي وَأَنَا أَجْزِي بِهِ. It is for me and I'm going to reward it. So the reward of the one who's fasting is tremendous. It is tremendous. Allah Azza wa Jal has, to honor them, has granted them a door in Jannah that no one is going to enter from there except those who used to fast. باب يسمى الريان, the door that's called the باب الريان. No one enters from there except those who used to fast. And it's going to be said, where are those who used to fast? They're going to enter from that door. After the last one enters, it will be closed and it will not be open for anyone else. Because it's for those who used to fast only. Now, the third point is الزهد في الدنيا وشهواتها والرغبة في الآخرة. Amongst the things that a person attains from fasting is for them to be detached from this worldly life. The things that are of no benefit to you in this worldly life. And zuhd is for you to detach yourself from the things that are a distraction to you in this world. It's a distraction. It doesn't always have to be bad and all these things. Things that are easy. You know you're capable of getting this and getting that, but you left that distraction off, focused on what you were meant to focus on, worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. So the month of Ramadan, when a person is fasting, what happens? His desire is lowered, and on top of that, the person, it's easier for him to attain zuhd. Zuhd doesn't mean you have to khalas, leave off the entire dunya and wear ragged clothes and all this, وكذا. لا. Man is zahid. The one who's avoiding the distractions, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he can be rich too. He goes to the dunya, he works hard for it. But he's the one who's worshipping Allah and he's staying away from the distractions, leaving off the distractions of this worldly life. Number 4 is التحكم في النفس وضبطها. For the person to control their nafs, to discipline their soul, to control it. The month of Ramadan is a time where you have to discipline your nafs and control it. Do not let it control you. Another virtue is العطف على الفقراء والمساكين وشعور بآلامهم وجوعهم. For the person to understand where the masakin are coming from, understand their hunger, understand what they're going through. It's a chance for you to feel what they're feeling. The person, you're hungry the whole day. The hunger touches you. You see how painful this hunger is. What do? Now you are more likely to spend towards the poor and give to them. You understand their pain. But if you don't understand their pain, you don't give sadaqah, nor do you take care of them at all. So it's a problem. But rather when you are hungry and you're fasting, then you also feel their pain. Now, the next mas'ala is arkan al-siyam, the pillars of fasting. If one of these pillars is broken, there is no fasting for you. There is no fasting for you whatsoever. What are those pillars? If you don't come with... The masjid has pillars. What is the pillars of the masjid? The wall. If we remove the wall, what happens? The ceiling collapses. La qaddar Allah. Right? So the pillar is that which it stands on. The fasting, siyam, stands on pillars. If you break those pillars, there is no fasting. Pillar number 1, an-niyyah, intention. If you don't come with an intention, there is no fasting. There is no fasting. Number 2, al-imsak عن الطعام والشراب وصائر المفطرات من طلوع الفجر الصادق إلى غروب الشمس. For the person to stay away from the things that break your fasting. The first pillar is you have to come with an intention. The second pillar is that the person stays away from the things that break your fasting from sunrise to sunset. Are you clear? So therefore, these are the two pillars. It only has two pillars. These two pillars should not be broken. Should not be broken. The next point, the Shaykh says, حُكْمُ النِّيَّةِ لِلصِّيَامِ وَوَقْتُهَا يعني. What is the ruling of having intention for the fasting and its time? He said, النِّيَّةُ رُكْنٌ لِلصِّيَامِ. Intention is a pillar for fasting. Are we clear? And its station is there. وَمَحَلُّهَا الْقَلْبِ يعني. Its station is the heart. You don't say out of your tongue, I'm intending to fast tomorrow, starting from here to that time, as a worship to Allah. You don't have to tell. You don't have to make your talaffuz of the knee. You don't have to do that. The intention is inside. Its place, station is in the heart. So you say it from your heart. وَلَا مَكَانَ لَهَا فِي اللِّسَانِ وَلَا يَجُوزُ التَّلَفُّظُ بِهَا. It has no station from your tongue, nor is it permissible for the person to say it out loud. And here he said, وَيَكْفِي فِي النِّيَّةِ تَنَاوُلُ السُّحُورِ. It is sufficient for a person to, as an intention, to eat the suhoor. Why? لأنه ليس من عادة الإنسان أن يأكل في هذا الوقت. It is not from the norm of the people to eat this type of time. When you're eating suhoor, for what reason are you eating the suhoor? The intention and the reason why you're eating suhoor is for you to fast the next day. So this is sufficient for you. It is sufficient for you as an intention. It is sufficient for you as an intention. لأن people don't normally eat this kind of time. Do you? We don't. Maybe I don't know about the IHOP that's open 24 hours. Allah A'lam. But yeah, بعض الشباب maybe يعني 5 a.m. 4 a.m. خلاص. But it's not from the عادة يعني of the people that they eat 4 or 5 a.m. Sheikh. Are you clear? Because of that, if you eat the suhoor, the intention behind you eating suhoor is for you to fast the next day. This is sufficient as a niyyah for the person. ويجب, and is an obligation, تبييتها من الليل للصيام الواجب مثل رمضان. It is obligation for the person to come with this niyyah before, the night before. Especially in the fasting, there is an obligation like Ramadan. For example, I woke up this morning, for example. It's outside of Ramadan. It's not Ramadan. I woke up. I didn't eat anything in the house. I didn't eat anything from the house. I didn't drink anything, eat anything. I prayed Fajr. I went out around 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. What happened? I say, you know what? I'm gonna fast today. This is a voluntary fasting, right? It's outside of Ramadan. This intention is allowed for you. Walillahi alhamd. Came the narration of Prophet ﷺ that he asked, is there anything to eat? Aisha said, no. Khalas, he said, I'm going to fast. It is allowed. But for Ramadan, this is not allowed. You have to come with the intention before. The Prophet ﷺ said, Man lam yubayyit as-siyama min al-layli fala siyama lahu. The one who doesn't come with the intention for the fasting before, the night before, there's no fasting for him. There's no fasting for him. أما صيام التطوع, as for the voluntary fasting, فيجوز فيه النية من النهار. It is permissible for the person to come with the niyyah during the day, بشرط, with a condition, أن لا يكون قد أكل شيئا بعد الفجر. The condition is for the voluntary fasting, you're allowed to come with the intention during the day, with the condition أن لا يكون قد أكل شيئا بعد الفجر. That it is not that the condition is that he must have not eaten anything after Fajr. After Fajr, you have not eaten anything or drunk anything. Then you can continue your fasting like that. والصحيح, and what's correct is أنه يجب تبييت النية لكل يوم من رمضان. That it is obligation for the person to come with the intention of fasting every day of Ramadan. For every night, yani. For the person, he intends to fast every single day of Ramadan. Every night he comes with the intention. Walillahi alhamd. Every day you come with the intention for Ramadan. Every single day. Now, what are the conditions? And who? على من يجب الصيام رمضان? Who is the fasting obligatory upon? Who? Who is it obligatory upon? And what are the conditions of it? يجب صوم رمضان على المسلم. It's obligatory upon the Muslim. It's obligatory upon the Muslim person. العاقل, the one who's sane. The one who's sane, he reached, and he's not insane. When we say it's obligatory upon the Muslim, if a kafir fasts, it's not going to benefit him. It's not going to benefit him. الثاني العاقل, the one who's sane. The one who's insane, the pen is already lifted from this person. الثالث البالغ, the one who has reached the age of maturity. The one who has reached age of maturity. And number 4, the one who's healthy. The one who is healthy. He's not sick. He's healthy. Number 5, al-muqim, the one who's a resident. Obligation. As for the traveler, he has an option to fast or to break. Are we clear? But for the resident, it's an obligation for you to fast. And the last one, al-khulu min al-hayd wal-nifas lil-mar'ah, for the woman to be free from the menstruation and the postnatal bleeding. She has to be free from these things. Are we clear? So how do we know when Ramadan has started? كيفية ثبوت دخول رمضان. How do we know Ramadan has entered? لمعرفة دخول شهر رمضان طريقتان فقط. He said to know the entrance of the month of Ramadan, there is only 2 ways. Number 1, رؤية هلال رمضان. For you to see the crescent of Ramadan. When you see the hilal, the crescent of Ramadan, then know Ramadan has entered. وهذه الرؤية تكون في يوم, and it is this ru'ya or this sighting, when is it going to be at? It's going to be on the 29th. The day of the 29th, min Sha'ban. You see on the 29th day of Sha'ban, you look for the crescent moon. If you can see it, Ramadan has entered. What happens if you can't see it? We're going to come to it. نعم, here the Shaykh says فَيَرَاهُ بِنَفْسِهِ أو بِشَهَادَةِ مُسْلِمٍ عَدْلٍ. Either the person sees it by himself, or أو بشهادة مسلم عدل, يعني Muslim عادل, يعني this or the testimony of a Muslim person who is trustworthy, a just trustworthy person. That if that Muslim person said, I saw it, is sufficient. It requires one person for the entrance of Ramadan. But exiting Ramadan is not one person. It has to be minimum 2 people. There's a wisdom behind that as well. If one person is in the entrance of the month of Ramadan, to see the crescent moon, to sight it, either you sight it by yourself, or one person says they saw it. Muslim person that is trustworthy. Allah says, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. Whoever amongst you witnesses the month, let him fast. ولحديث النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم صوموا لرؤيته وأفطروا لرؤيته فإن غم عليكم فأكملوا شعبان 30 يعني. So therefore, Prophet he said صوموا لرؤيته, and he fast with its sighting. وأفطروا لرؤيته, and break your fasting with its sighting. ولحديث ابن عمر رضي الله عنه, and the hadith of Ibn Umar is a witness towards this. He said, أخبرت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم برؤية هلال رمضان فصامه وأمر الناس بصيامه. He said, Ibn Umar, أخبرت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, I informed the messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم برؤية هلال رمضان. I informed him about the sighting of the crescent of Ramadan. فصامه, he fasted. وأمر الناس بصيامه, and he commanded the people to fast. To fast also. Why? One person saw it. وَلِلَّهِ الْحَمْدِ خلاص. الشاهد. The shahid is a Muslim. And he's someone who's trustworthy. اللهم لك الحمد. خلاص. فَإِن لَمْ يُرَ الْهِلَالِ. If you don't see the hilal, maybe it's cloudy, or maybe you just cannot see it, you didn't see it, خلاص. وجب إكمال عدة الشعبان 30 يوما. It's obligatory for you to finish the month of Sha'ban 30 days. The hadith of Prophet ﷺ is proof for this. صوموا لرؤيته وأفطروا لرؤيته فإن غم عليكم فأكملوا عدة الشعبان 30. If it has been disguised from you or it's hidden from you, what happens? You have to فَأَكِمِلُوا عِدَّةَ شَعْبَانَ 30. Complete the count of Sha'ban 30. 30 days you complete Sha'ban. ولا يوجد طريقة أخرى لمعرفة دخول شهر رمضان. Shaykh said, there is no other way for you to know the entrance of the month of Ramadan. So how do, and we're going to conclude with this last مسألة, which is كيفية ثبوت انتهاء رمضان. How do we know that Ramadan is done? Towards the end of Ramadan, how do we know the month of Ramadan is over? It is the same path as the one before. رؤية هلال الشوال. You see the crescent of the month of Shawwal. وهذه الرؤية تكون, and this ru'ya is going to be one, the same thing, the 29th day of the month of Ramadan. ولكنه يكون بشهادة مسلمين عدلين. It's going to be with the testimony of two Muslims that are trustworthy people. وليس مسلما واحدا. It is not only one Muslim person. Why? If the reason, look at the wisdom behind this. If we say one Muslim person, we're saying one Muslim person saw the hilal of Ramadan entered. We're finishing Sha'ban and we're going to fast the next day. If this person is a liar, or he has no adala, this person is not trustworthy whatsoever, what happens? We fasted an extra day now. We fasted an extra day. Have we lost anything from Ramadan? La, we haven't. What if this person, he messed up towards the ending of it? We will lose that on a day of Ramadan. We'll lose it on a day of Ramadan. So therefore, you have to have two people to exit Ramadan. They have to see it, both of them. فَإِن لَمْ يُرَ الْهِلَالِ وَجَبَ إِكْمَالُ عِدَّةِ رَمَضَانَ 30. If you don't see the hilal of Shawwal, then it is obligatory for the person to complete all 30 days of the month of Ramadan. Inshallah, tomorrow, by Al-Asr, we will cover, bi'idhnillah, who is excused from fasting and in the month of Ramadan. Who is excused from the fasting, such as the people who are sick and all of these, and what type of sicknesses is it? We'll cover it tomorrow, inshallah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallim wa barik wa anam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.